outside, crying with her hands tied. President on my fan club, Santa. Something told me I should bring my lunch.
Slowly, taking in my body like it's holy. I've been waiting for you for the whole week. I've been praying for you, you're my Sunday. You gotta move slowly, taking in my body like it's.
Hello. 1 second. I'm looking at something really quickly. Oh, okay. What I was reading was didn't really provide much. So, part two. Also, I'm going to apologize right now. I got sushi. So, I might be eating sometimes during this live. But, oh, my hat. Okay. All right. So, yes, Shadow Girl, important question. What is the question? That song is Sunday Candy by Donnie Trumpet and the Social Experiment. I thought you had a question. I thought someone... Okay. So, what do you guys think? Okay, so we'll answer a few questions first. I guess we won't jump right into it. My Halloween was fun. I walked around Toronto. It was pretty cool. I'm drinking ginger ale, so that works. All right, most of Chapter 9 went over your head. Okay, that was, I just read a thing about Chapter 9, so I'll read it to you guys so you guys know where I am reading it. The long drawn-out excerpt from Emmanuel Goldstein's The Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism dominates Chapter 9, the novel's longest chapter. This sprawling treatise on political economy and class struggle mixes many sources of the 20th century political theory, including works by Leon Trotsky and Karl Marx. Orwell combines aspects of these figures' respective political philosophies into an extended statement that some critics have felt is too long and too unwieldy to work effectively in the novel. Since 1984, its ultimate political novel, however, some degree of political discourse seems inevitable. So, Chapter 9 was a lot of, to me, it seems like political theory talk. It was literally outlining the society in which Winston lived, using different examples from societies before, which would be societies before Orwell's time. The book takes place in London, in England. Yes, it's cool that, like I just read, that people say that Chapter 9 was too long. I think that's super interesting. I did feel like it was way too long, too. It took me forever to get through it, and I felt like I was reading a textbook almost, because it was very, like, matter-of-fact, just laying out the world. You're at GU right now, Dio? Why would you do that to me? I'm at home eating sushi. I want to go to GU. Yeah. See, there's something interesting about Chapter 9 that I was reading the whole time. I was thinking. I was like, what about if Chapter 9 is just... I don't know. I was skeptical of O'Brien during this last meeting, and then when they were there talking about all these things, I got very like, wait, things are weird. This all feels like a setup. What if she was merely trying to pull people out of like the dark? Like, what if Julia is just like trying to pull people that they think are already thought criminals and then pulling it out of them, and then Charrington? I didn't know, but it seems suspicious. I was suspicious of him. Something about that seemed too good to be true, and then he kept going back there, it seemed like a bad idea, especially with the importance they placed on, like, don't go somewhere more than once, don't do this more than once, and they went there all the time. They never changed place. If you notice in chapter 9, I think there's an allusion to Julia being. I think she was working for them. Like I said. So in chapter 9 there is. Hold on, I took a lot of notes. I don't know, it was talking about how when people talked about this political stuff, Julia was, like, not interested in the way that they described that people wouldn't be. She never really wants to talk about change. She only talks about this certain rebellion, and now it seems almost scripted. And now, yeah, I think Julia not only set up him, I think she set up O'Brien, too. She's one of, like, the spies for the thought police, like, taking down the organization from the inside. Why do I think... I don't know why he was so quick to trust him. That's a good question, Nicole. This is my first time reading this. So anyone that knows more than I do, don't say anything. I haven't read part 3. I've only read part 1 and 2, so don't, like, spoil it, please. Yeah. Julia, she only cared about things that benefit her. Maybe. See, Triforce of Dragons. I'm starting to think that they don't. I think this world's lost. I think that Goldstein, the idea of the Brotherhood and Rebellion, is merely a means to an end of trying to pull people out that don't align with the party, that don't align with them. Cosmic race. What you're saying about that the Jews and other minorities were found in high ranks of the party, I think he did that on purpose to show that at that time they had superseded the idea of, like, race or religion, like religious struggles, race struggles. They're saying no, the party's, like, been able to pass that. Like, that's no longer something they deal with. So I think that was his way of saying that. You know, I don't know why he trusts O'Brien, but there's something about the way he describes O'Brien. He's got, like, a dude crush on O'Brien. There's something about him being like, O'Brien's always standing a certain way, and he, like, he feels not reverent, but it almost like he represents, like, the guys, like the old, like, manly men, but not even. I don't know. There's something about him that he's like drawn to and he admires, and I think that's why he like really trusted him from immediate, like a bromance, exactly. I think it's innately human, Niner Girl. Winston is desperate to trust someone. I think there's some parts of, like, the humanity that he's struggling with. And actually, that's something I want to talk about. He's trying to find people who seem to humanity alive in them still. That's interesting. I like that. Julie's representation is some people, like, I don't care what happens with the others. I don't like the rules because it affects me. Interesting. Needed something new because things are helpless and restless. What do you think about the thought police representing our current society? I don't know. But he's imagining all this. I thought the same thing, Shadow Girls. Like, what if he's imagining all this? But I don't think he did. To me, it's all very much like part of that. But It's all part of the world. Everything's happening until I feel like it's not. As far as I think everything's happening. All right, so I want to talk about something. Let's talk about the beginning of Winston and Julia. What do you guys think about that? When she first kind of gave him the initial contact. I took a class once in high school, and the teacher ended up asking, like, what would you guys, if you became dictators, pretend, would you keep the internet? Would you keep the press? What would you do? And a lot of people were like, oh, I get rid of it. But as you can see very much in this movie, the press, everything is controlled by this society to benefit the party. It's the machine. And they've made the machine both infallible. It's so much like this machine. He helped her immediately. Oh, see, to me, the note was one of the coolest parts of the book. I have so many notes written about that. Hold on. Oh, and I want to talk about the singing. Where is it? So the first quote I want to bring up is from that page where he says, at the sight of the words, I love you, the desire to stay alive welled up in him, and the taking of minor risks suddenly seemed stupid. Just the idea, just the sight of those words, like, made him want to live. Love that. But there's something about it. What does she say? I'm corrupt to the bones. She's all about corruption. And to say I love you, that's a completely individual experience, completely individual understanding. It's like the ultimate thought crime to me, is the way I picture it. To have that connection with another person, to have that want to be with another person, which you don't see a lot in this society. Literally, it's like the ultimate, like, to the man. Like, to me, it was so sexy. It was just such a cool idea. How does she love him? Because she sees herself in him. Or I don't know. I still think I think she is one of the thought police. And it was a very long way to see, oh, maybe we can get into the thing. But I don't know. That's one side, but if I look at the other side, she recognized someone. Exactly. Love is such a strong emotion. Love has power. It's the ultimate rebellion in this society. It's the ultimate, like, no, or yes. You know, it's the ultimate, like, I said it. The ultimate to the man. It's so cool. But it's a statement. It was like, and then they said it. The first time they hooked up, it was a political act. It wasn't, could you imagine? Well, okay. What part of him would she see as herself, though? No, that the same thing that I think Winston sees in O'Brien. That same. You're like me. That. You think it was staged and quick? Maybe. Love is dangerous in the book. The Ministry of Love is the most dangerous building. Being seen together would get them in trouble. Exactly. The The fact that love is political makes it less like love, though, and more like an act of rebellion. But that's the thing. It's love through an act of rebellion. I don't know. To me, it's super sexy. I think it's cool. I think it's an interesting idea, especially in this time. I'm going to read one part. And then even the point where she's like, not only have I done the act before, I enjoy it. That's also against the party. Think about it. His wife called the act of like making love together, she called that act duty to the party. So now there's this whole thing. I agree with you. Yes, Ana Cat Fernandez. Do you think the fact that she's hiding places, these specific places to meet him, do you think it's so strange? I think it's strange that Winston, a guy who's had these thoughts and ideas, never once attempted to try to, like, never, did not know how to navigate all these special spots, but she has multiple. I totally agree with you. She's sketchy as hell. She plays the game. You're so right. But the part I want to read is like, that was above all what he wants to hear. Not merely the love of one person, but the animal instinct. The simple, undifferentiated desire. That was the force that would tear the party to pieces. The past is more important than the future. Exactly. Yeah. I think that was like, it's cool that we talked about it, and then I read that, I was like, I was so right. Oh, okay, that's interesting. She's only a rebel from the waist down. That's right. That's right. Wait, why did she jump out of her seat? I was talking to one of my doctors today and told her about this book club and how we're reading 1984. Oh yeah, Winston's mother's part is super heartbreaking. I think it's interesting that he's able to like recognize his behavior as like a kid and then be like, yeah, I feel bad about that. Okay, you're not suspicious of Julia. She's very single-minded and in the moment. Doesn't sound like someone with an ulterior motive. But there's something about her rebellion that's not, like, fulfilled for me. It seems almost just put on because she doesn't care about... Like, she's like, oh, I'm corrupt. What's more corrupt than to continue in the rebellion? To try to then to beat the oppressor. She has no interest in that. She's interested in just, like, skirting around the oppressor. Well, Shadow Girl, that's a very good point. I don't think the relationships in these books are completely honest. There's got to be some kind of catch to each of them. What's one thing that Winston says over and over again? He said it in book 1 and he said it now in part 2. There's no such thing as pure emotions at this time. Like, there's no such thing. So he knows that it's not quite there. So the only hope is in the proles because they still feel everything. Yeah. Exactly. I feel like O'Brien was very dismissive of Julia. You'd think that he'd want to recruit everyone, so I think things are going on there. Also, how did Julia know that O'Brien was, like, gonna be cool? Like, why would she just show up? They're always so cautious. And now she's like, no, I can show up. I totally agree with you. It's totally weird. Totally weird. Yeah, I did read War and Peace, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. I think that's towards the end. Sketch. Exactly. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Everyone's bringing it up. When the book does explain why war is peace, why ignorance is strength, why freedom is actually slavery. But I love that the entirety of that part of chapter 9 was trying to show you how they designed a world where when you can't trust yourself, the only thing you can trust is the party, and they're always right. Even when they're wrong, they change it to be right. It's a whole thing. It's all part of this giant manipulation. And I wonder, they say they always catch the black book. They say that people very often catch right after it's printed. What if the black book is a way of like recruiting people? Really? You think O'Brien's a sketchy one? I don't know. Something about me, I still trust him too. I don't know why. I think that's scary, but something to be aware of is that the war put people together in a sad way, yeah. Because they're the holders of truth. If they say 2 plus 2 is 5, and everywhere it's written, which they control, it says 2 plus 2 is 5, and everyone you ask, because they all listen to the same people, say 2 plus 2 is 5, eventually that becomes the truth. Who told me that? They did, so now I trust them for the truth. I just think it's weird that she said yes like right away, and Winston took a second to. I think we're definitely onto something. That there's some sort of conspiracy between O'Brien and Julia. Mr. Charrington, I thought he could be trusted, and apparently he's a snake. So I guess not. No, Mr. Charrington was a thought police. At the end of chapter 10, he's like, "Oh my God, that's Charrington," but he has his hair all changed and he's using a different accent. The thought police. So it's all connected. Okay, so someone says, no, O'Brien doesn't approach Winston until after he rents Charrington's room. He doesn't approach Winston until after Charrington's room, and until after he tells Julia about the incident. I think that just proves it. I think that literally just proves it. What do you think George Orwell would say to us today with people in our world living in a very close to 1984 era? I think he'd be scared because it actually got worse. We have laptops, we have iPhones we take everywhere. They can hear everything, and we didn't even think we're enslaved in any way. And I think that would be like the ultimate like double think. I don't think it's that bad though. We have a lot of other freedoms and whatnot. Exactly. On the streets of New York, yes, I agree with you 100%. I think everything is completely controlled, and Winston has said that a few times. And I think he was kind of alluding at the fact that everything is controlled. Even in this book, we think we can trust him as a lead character. I don't think we can. I think that's another theme, is like we can't even trust the guy who we're following in this story. Well, just as no one's ever seen Big Brother, no one's ever like known where he is. What did O'Brien say about Goldstein? Big Brother and Goldstein are the same person. That's what I think. I think they're the same person, used for like the same means. To either create a common enemy, everyone hates Goldstein, to have a false idol so that they can pull like the rats out and be like, oh, you people would have followed him, you guys are done. Everything's gone. I honestly think that. How do we know I'm not Big Brother? I wish someone would tell me if I was. Yeah, let's talk about the song. What do you want to talk about? Absolutely. Let's talk about the hate week, how tired he was. I think it was just like a metaphor for how much hate takes out of you. They wanted to see who he was talking to, who he figured this stuff out with, like how he's getting these ideas, who's corrupting him, if he got it from someone else. Why do I think they had to change some with stuff? Because they had to continue with their narrative that they're never wrong. It's part of the corruption. They were able to change mid-sentence who their enemy was. They have complete control of their populace in the sense that these are now just machines. But literally, chapter 3, the first thing I wrote was like, she's using him. I think Julia's using him. Sad. Poor Winston. Can we talk about the bird? What do you guys think about the bird that they saw in the forest singing? Whoa, okay. One theory I love is that the book was written as doublespeak in order to get the reader to doubt their own thoughts. Whoa, that's crazy. Interesting. Mockingbird, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. The bird represents like a purity, a complete freedom. For whom does the bird sing? No one but the bird, because that bird does not give a fuck. Well, I think there's one thing they have. It's freedom of, like they said, there's no such thing as like pure emotions because it's all muddied with fear and hate. Everything. They're afraid to feel certain ways. So even when they feel them, it's not a clean feeling. They can't feel anything anymore, which is so sad. But that bird, I agree. It's like a purity of feeling. Maze Runner theory. I didn't see that. Let me look back. The bird is like a spy? I don't know. Maybe. If they're asking for the name, they could look on my Instagram. It's on my Instagram. This is the book cover. 1984. What do we think about the washerwoman? Was she merely there just to have Winston like recognize all these things, or was she also somebody watching? Okay. Thinking birds can mean purity. I got that. I think Winston is envious of her. That's a very good... I agree. Oh, I love that. You're right. Even the food in this book is weird. Like, I love when they start... Also, like, where does Julia get all the money to get all these things in the black market? Like, why is she, like, showing Winston this life? Although I thought it was, like, beautiful when she put makeup on for him. That idea of choice was taken from her and she wanted it back. And she put the makeup on and she... that was, like, a... I felt like they became little kids playing dress-up at that point. I thought it was, like, a beautiful moment. I think my favorite moment is that. When they, like, rediscover what it means to be, like, free and human together. They have chocolate, they have coffee, they can lay there. Winston can read a book in light with no telescreen, and he can sit back and enjoy coffee. Like, stuff that we do literally every day, take for granted. He doesn't. And that's something I wrote here. How much in freedom do we take for granted? Just like Scout never feared the loss of reading until she realized that she might lose it. Or never feared, until she realized it could be taken away. How much of the stuff do we have that we're, like, taking for granted? Hawaii, good question. Everyone, I want to see what everyone's answer is this. She said, what did you say, how or why? Okay, but how did O'Brien turn off the telescreen and rebel so freely? Well, remember what he said? He said it's a privilege of the party, of the inner party, not the outer party. I think that's just showing how arbitrary the rules actually are. They're kind of bullshit. Because he's like, yeah, I don't really have to listen to him. I'm going to turn him off real quick. Like, I shouldn't piss anyone off, but I can turn the rules off. Also, I'm doing this for these purposes. Also, this was the first time where we found out, into the end of chapter 9, that there was a telescreen in that room. So, like, there could be hidden telescreens everywhere. He turned the one off that was visible. Empty. You think so? I think Winston is envious of the washing lady for the same reason I envy none. Maybe, Jamie Lee. Maybe. He envies her, but I think he's also inspired by her. I think that's something that's, like, really interesting. He's not only, he does envy her, I agree, but I think he's also inspired by her. He's like, oh my gosh, she's gonna make it. He sees hope in her. Because everything she does is still pure. It's not muddled by all these other things, these distractions. If you were in a dystopian book, would you be the rebellion or would you be brainwashed and not know any better? Well, you can kind of discover that every day if you allow, I think, one news source or the other to put you in a spiral. If you don't educate yourself, if you don't vote, if you don't actively pursue the truth, not what one party says to believe or the other. They're both wrong. I think if you don't seek out your own knowledge, or you're someone that doesn't stand up for people, I think that could be an indication of what you would be doing during a time like that. But remember, we can't forget, like, we can't easily say, oh, I would never do that, because these were people. Julia was raised after the revolution. Julia doesn't know any better. Julia's never lived with this. And like I said, freedom's one generation away from being lost. So she doesn't understand a lot of the things that Winston talks about, or even the slight feelings. He was a young child when it all happened, but he's still, oh, I remember that smell. I remember little things. And that's like the light at the end of the tunnel that keeps him searching for what can be truthful. We kind of talked about the effects of Hate Week and the effect it had on people. It allowed people to... It's almost, to me, as if they were saying, like, people have different, like, energy tanks, as if it were like a gas tank. And the energy tank for being angry and frustrated is kind of always near full because of how mundane and boring and terrible their existence is. This inability to really discern for themselves, so they have to, like, be like lemmings. The only way to empty that tank to a reasonable level is to have those 2 minutes of hate, or to have that hate week, because it's like those 2 minutes hate can only empty so much every day, and then the hate week allows it to be like, whoo. That's what I think. And it keeps all of that anger and frustration away from the party and onto a common enemy, uniting the people, which is a big thing with manipulation. Oh, very good question, Triforce. Triforce, I gave you like a nickname to your handle, Triforce. Do you think O'Brien was serious when he said the Brotherhood won't help members who are caught? Or do you think he might help Winston somehow? What do you guys think about that? Yes, Hate Week. They explain that in the in chapter 9. I know it was like a lot to get through, but it's really like it feels like a politics textbook almost, where it's describing like things. You know, it is hard to get through, but in it they describe that process of Hate Week. They describe why it's important. They describe they talk about that building up, and they need to divert that energy. O'Brien said they could help at some point by giving them tools or opportunities to run. I think O'Brien 100% believes in the party, but thinks the complete opposite of Winston, so I doubt he'll help him. The Brotherhood don't sugarcoat their methods. Yeah, it's true. I think that O'Brien has known Winston. No, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. This is cool. You guys are making me question. I'm like very excited to read the last part so we can get through that and we can figure it all out. No, he won't take the risk of outing himself to save another person in the rebellion. Absolutely not. This rebellion is a very interesting rebellion, because what does he say about it? The rebellion, the only thing that binds the rebellion. Because it's not like they have this structure where they know their hierarchy and they know who's ahead of them and whatever. O'Brien could be just as small of a pawn as the recently recruited Winston. If you're looking at the Brotherhood as a thing. With this whole time we've been talking about it as if it weren't a thing, let's talk about it as if it were. They said it, the parties protected themselves. Why? Because there's no connection. The only thing holding the party together is what? It's one of my, I'm going to look up the quotes right now. What's the only thing holding the Brotherhood together? An idea. An idea which is indestructible. Yes! Mercy 1976. There it is. You said it. I was waiting for someone to say it. I said it, but I should have waited a little longer. You said it. Yes. An idea. Which is fascinating. Because then they're safe, but they're still united in the understanding that maybe not now. We are the dead. But it's kind of crazy. Yeah, really quickly, I see people posting no spoilers. If I see a spoiler, I will block you from our lives. I don't think that's funny. It's just kind of mean. There's a lot of people on the live, and there's myself who does not like to be spoiled. So if you think that it's cool to spoil things, or if it's an accident, totally cool, but really keep spoiling off. We're trying to have fun. Everyone wants to read and have a good time, so no spoilers. And if you've read it, then you can sit there in the understanding that you know what's coming, and that's kind of fun too. They're still unified because they believe in this idea. They're inspired by this idea. And like O'Brien said, it might take them 1,000 years to figure it out. I want to talk about this movie, which I think, you know what? Since it's part 2, before you do it, I don't know what it's rated. I don't want to. It's rated R, so ask your parents. It's the movie V for Vendetta. If you haven't watched it, since we're at this part in the book, I want you to watch it. Because they talk about this idea of ideas, and it's a dystopian world in a very controlled society. But in the movie, there's one quote. He goes, "Beneath this mask, there is more than flesh. Beneath this mask, there is an idea, Mr. Creedy, and ideas are bulletproof." It's an indestructible idea. And that idea, he was able to spread to Natalie Portman. And that idea was able to spread. And an idea is stronger to unite people than something else. An idea, because it can't be broken down. An idea can't be... It's a solidified idea. Yeah. Wait, today's not the 5th? No, I watch it every November 5th, though. Remember, the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason, and plot. V for Vendetta, yes. I'm probably going to watch it when we get off this live, because I haven't watched it in a bit. Maybe Cat will come on. Maybe we'll watch it. Alright, does anyone know how much time we have left? We have what, like 10 minutes-ish? 15 minutes? It's the 3rd for you, Rita. For me, it's still the 2nd. It's 9 p.m. So I'm in the past. You're in the future. Whoa. Yes. That's a good point. Although ideas can't be broken down, is this why the whole 1984 thing came across? Am I right? Pretty much. Well, I don't know about pretty much, actually. That's not a very thought-out answer. I'm saying I think he's trying to perpetuate that idea. That ideas are indestructible. So don't ever forget, with hope and ideas, there's always hope. Because ideas can be passed on. Ideas can still live within someone. And like Julia and Winston said, they can't... What you put in between your ears, no one can take from you. Their individuality, how they feel, no one can really change that. Yeah, they could tell you to portray it differently. Yo, I know you can get angry, but don't show it. You can feel this way, but don't show it. You can't show anything to anyone. You have to pretend to be these perfectly organized machines. But you don't think Winston's part of the rebellion, but he doesn't remember because his memory's been wiped. Whoa! What? No. When would that have happened? Well, I think that's one thing. There are more people that agree with Winston. I don't understand. I don't think there are memory wipes. If that's a spoiler, I'm very upset. Wait. What if the people that rebel are always the people that rebel? No, but then why do they disappear people? Is it on his head? No, I think this is all real. I have no other reason to think not right now. I'm confused too. Wait, should we talk about quotes? Because we have like what I think we have like 15 minutes. So let's talk about quotes. I have a thought though. How do we know the other countries exist? In the book, we talk about other countries existing, but I agree. How do we know that Oceania isn't just like the entirety? Like, you never see veterans. You never see people going into the war. They only talk about these bombs and these occasional shootings and all these things which could very much be fabricated by the government themselves. I totally agree. What if there is no war? There's a fake war. Oh my God, so the book, what they're saying, they're really alluding to a greater idea that I think Winston maybe will put together. The idea that there really is no war. Since war is just used as a means to oppress, the idea of war can be done the same way without the expenditure and the cost of war. But then they would have a surplus of goods, which they said is not the case. So the war has to exist, unless it's another thing by the government, because obviously there's not if he can have wine and tobacco and all this great stuff and they're stuck on victory coffee. It's all propaganda, you're right. It's just crazy. But like, what if, because right now there's still the assumption that there's a continuous war. So there still is a battle happening, right? Or did I read that wrong? Is there no battle happening now? Because there's still technically a battle, because they said the lines move ever so occasionally, but the soldiers aren't really fighting for anything, because at this point it's just to maintain the status quo in society. Maybe the only battle is within the characters' minds. That's a cool idea. I think it's still happening. But that's something they talk about. Exactly. That's the thing. They've taken the meter of which to judge the truth, and they've completely skewed it in a way that there's no way to judge it. Even human memory can't be trusted. I wish I could do a no shave November, but I work for Shadowhunters, so I have to shave all the time. Oh my gosh, it's Movember. I'm gonna post about that. We have 5 minutes. Okay, so no, these are annoyingly short. Hold on. I want to talk about one more thing. Okay, can we talk about one thing though? I felt like during chapter 9, I felt like I was reading for school. I felt like I lost it became I think I said it became a textbook. I was like, oh, come on. Come on, come on. Okay, so if you guys don't mind, I want to talk about something very quickly. I will say one thing. So dry, right? The book completely lost its flavor. Like, it was like, oh, textbook. And then when his voice came back, it was like fresh air, which is kind of weird to me. It's like waiting for him to talk. But few things. So the next live, we have the last part 3. Wait, that's not it. Which is about another 100 pages or so. What do you want to do with that? What do you guys think? When should we do it? 389, 294. It's less than 100 pages. Do you guys want to try Monday? Monday? Oh, I totally forgot I had food. I ate like rice, but I totally forgot. If you have ideas for merchandise, just send them to me on Instagram or Twitter. The Rosende Reads, I check it. Or my Twitter. Oh, if you can't DM me on Twitter, so do it on the Instagram, Rosende Reads. And I'll check it out. I have an idea. I've been talking to someone. It's pretty cool. I saw the ones earlier today. I'll have to post about that. But can we do Monday? Can we do Monday for part 3? I would love to do Monday. All right. So let's try Monday for the last 100 pages, guys. I think we can do it. And you know what? This weekend, I'll post about it to say if Monday or we might have to push to Wednesday. So everyone, don't fret. Don't fret. For right now, just start reading. See if we can do it. And then we'll push to Tuesday, if not, or Wednesday. I don't know my work schedule that far, but I'm at the film festival until Monday, so Monday night I can probably do something. Now I want to talk about one more thing because someone brought it up. It's November, which means it's Movember, Mustache Movember. It is a movement done by many people around the world to bring attention to men's health issues. And things that men don't technically like to talk about. We will say Monday the 6th, yes, for our meeting. No, really quickly. I would advise everyone to look at it, to take a look at the Movember cause, what it does, and know that it affects men in all ages and tries to just bring awareness to the fact they have to check themselves. As many of you guys know, and some of you don't, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer in 2013. I was then a couple months later diagnosed, I'm chilling. But it was a scare that made me understand, oh my goodness, this is something that really needs to be talked about and brought about because it's something I didn't know. Testicular cancer affects men from the age of 15 to 35. That's actually super young, and most of us don't know about it. It's also one of the most curable cancers if caught early. It's like 90-something%. It's ridiculous. I call it my 3 weeks in hell because that's really all it was. And that was because I went to the doctor immediately. I got very lucky. I don't know why I did it, but now I want to use this platform to kind of talk about it. So we'll bring that up. I'll be posting about it, some facts about other men's health issues that Movember is meant to bring awareness to, and we could all just kind of pay attention. And for the guys out there, check yourselves. It's totally cool. While you're in the shower, just give yourself a look. Make sure everything's cool. If it feels weird, go to the doctor. Actually, for most things, guys, if it feels weird or something strange, you are the owner of your body. You know your body more. You know your body better than anyone. So if something feels off, don't question yourself. Don't question your truth. If something feels off, just go get it looked at. The worst they could say is you're fine. So I wanted to bring attention to that. Yeah. So Monday the 6th, we have our last meeting for our 3rd book. What? Then on Monday, we will talk about what we're doing for our next book, The Diary of Anne Frank. After that, we will move forward, and hopefully by the time on Monday, I will have a closer and a better idea as to what the bigger way in which our book club can help people. I've been thinking about it a lot. My mom and I have great ideas, so I think we're going to move forward. So we'll talk about that next live. 8 p.m. Yeah, we'll float at that right now. Remember, it might change this weekend. But guys, we did it. We're almost 3 books in. This is amazing. Super proud. Remember, keep telling people to read. Keep telling people to join our book club. And if not, just make sure they're reading something. And something other than the news. Something other than the news. Yes, the news is important. Yes, we need to stay absolutely aware. And we can't let ourselves get tired by the fatigue of staying informed. Because it's very difficult. But we have to stay informed. We have to make sure that we are the meters of truth for our media and our elected officials. So keep doing that. I know it's tiring, but if someone can't join the book club, recommend them one of our other books, or just make sure that they're reading something that makes them question things and ask cool questions and look for truth. So yes, as of right now, Monday the 6th at 8 p.m. We have a few minutes. We can keep talking. They haven't cut us out yet. But as soon as that timer comes up, I'll say goodbye because that timer makes me nervous. It'll be Eastern Standard Time, the time in Toronto. So that's like 3 hours ahead of LA. 6 hours behind London, I believe. Is my hair long enough to make it to a bun? Random question? No, not yet. Not yet. Are you reading Anne Frank? Great. Car the Amazing. Car the Amazing. If you are, I can't wait to hear your insight and things you've learned in school when we read the book. How old were you when I had cancer? When I had cancer, I was 20. I was in college. It was April 30th. I was diagnosed. D-Day. So I was 20. I had just turned 20. The news, Mary Kate, Nick, will be on Monday for merchandise. We'll hopefully have more news then. Yes, there is a ribbon color for testicular cancer. It's like a light purple. I believe it's like a light purple. But there are many organizations that have different colors. Like, as you guys know, the Livestrong organization, which is one that I turned to and I thought helped me a lot, has like the yellow wristbands. I'm totally good now. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Timer. Oh, cool. I can't wait to see it. The arrangement for... I can't wait. Hopefully I can hear it. So, the clock started, so it's making me forget everything. It's just like ticking at me. I don't like it. So, everyone, we will talk Monday. Awesome chat. I'm sorry I had to eat a couple times. It won't happen again. But I can't wait. I can't wait to finish this book. Literally, as soon as I finished it, I was like, oh, I want to keep reading. But then I realized I had to do the live. So I was like, oh, let me talk. So, everyone, I will see you on Monday. Don't forget, it's Movember, Men's Health Awareness Month. If the guys out there, I know it sounds kind of weird, just get yourself checked. It's all good. I'm about to go watch Stranger Things. I will see you guys probably in a year after I finish binging it. No, I'm kidding. Well, have a good one, guys. I will see you Monday. Remember, be forces for positive change in the world. Peace.